Yeah. I actually thought about whether or not taking the time to put the title on the board was a waste of time. Look, I'm not the kind of person that likes to spew hate and negativity online. I'm not into that at all. I'm a big believer in being positive. Let's promote happiness and and just make the world better. But I saw this movie on Friday, and I just sat with it, and I let it stew and stew and stew inside. And I'm just like, no, I gotta just say how I felt. So, The Lion King, I understand what Jon Favreau was trying to do with this. He wanted to make it seem like a documentary, with his lenses and angles and be as realistic as possible. And by being as realistic as possible, you can't show the same facial expressions like you can in animation or make the musical numbers as big. But just still, oh, good gracious, this movie. It felt so long in some places while the conversation seemed so much shorter and cut. Like any pauses that would have happened in a conversation in the original were just shoved out of the way, which meant the character, interactions seemed forced. The character development itself, not nearly as good as the original. And I know that's what we're all going to be doing. Oh, the original. We're going to compare everything to the original, but rarely is a remake as good as the original. But this movie, oof. I honestly was very disappointed with this film. Now I can give 3 praises for this film. I can. One scene was in the gorge right before Scar murders Mufasa. I thought it was interesting what Scar did right before he murdered him, where he gave Mufasa the scar in the same placement of his own eye. I thought that was a very petty, cold, cruel thing that a villain would do, and a villain to their brother. Make it very, like I said, petty and spiteful. So that was interesting. Another thing, this was moderately clever. There was a scene in the original movie where Pumbaa's about to use the word farted, and Timon interrupts him and says, "Pumbaa, not in front of the kid." And they changed that in this version, where Pumbaa's about to say the word farted, and he looks at Timon and says, "Aren't you going to stop me?" And Timon says, "No." Just kind of moderately clever, little change there. And then the third thing I liked is because, like I said, Jon Favreau with realism, he can't do that very, very funny scene where Timon dresses in drag with the flower and the hula skirt and sings that song. Can't do that. So they did a little riff. They did a song from the live action and animated, technically, Beauty and the Beast. So that was interesting. That I liked. But other than that, just James Earl Jones, his voice didn't sound as deep. I don't know what. I know some of these are really amazing actors, but I felt like they were not giving their full just performance potential. I don't know if they were directed not to, because realistically animals can't give that facial expression, so maybe they were told to be toned down or what. But James Earl Jones, he was amazing in the original. He didn't sound like his powerful and passionate Mufasa like he was in the original. And the actor who plays Scar, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know how to say your name. I know you're a phenomenal English actor. Let's look you up. I'm literally looking this up right now. Chiwetel. Sir, I hope that. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I'm sure I am. Your name is very hard for me to say. I'm sorry. I know you are a phenomenal, phenomenal actor, but here's the thing. James Oliver is English. He plays Zazu in this new version. Jeremy Irons is English. And those two actors, Jeremy Irons in the original, he kept his English accent. John Oliver in this remake version, he kept his English accent. Why didn't you? English accents help make villains. That's almost like a stereotype nowadays. Why not use it? It might have made your character just seem more threatening to an extent. Just they essentially butchered "Be Prepared." What did we have? Maybe 30 seconds of the song. Oh gosh. And this is the scene. The amazing scene in the first one where Simba, like, in grief, just kind of, and disappointment and sadness, just plops himself down, and the wind, like, blows his hair. It's very quick, but, it gets the point across. It's done very well. And it gets to Rafiki. In this version, it's just taking forever and ever and ever, to the point where a giraffe swallows his hair and poops it out, and a dung beetle is literally just pushing poop with this crap with Simba's mane tough in it. And I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe this is a metaphor for the circle of life or something, but also it's like, oh, this is how Rafiki's gonna find Simba's mane, just from crap. It's just no. Oh gosh, and Rafiki, he was beautiful in the first movie. He had comedy, just this wisdom, this strength, and you barely get anything from him in this version. Granted, his scene wasn't huge in the original either, but when he was on screen, he really left an impact. In this version, barely anything. And you really saw him, like, you could tell he had a deep friendship with Mufasa. They hugged in the beginning of the movie. He had a similar hug with Simba in the end. I don't know, realistically, just maybe if apes can't hug a lion realistically the way that they showed in the original animation, but all they had was a very, not cold, but more formal aspect where Rafiki would lightly brush the king, whether it be Mufasa or Simba's face. Like, very much it was more of a professional relationship, and you really felt honest friendship from Mufasa and Simba towards Rafiki in the beginning and the end of the original. And his staff, his amazing staff, you saw him with the entire film, and only in this remake did he pull out the staff at the very end, and there wasn't a need for it, because in the original he used that staff and he really did truly fight these hyenas. While in this remake, all he does with the staff is scare them with it. He just shakes it in the air a little bit, and the hyenas run off scared. You didn't need to bring the staff anyway. Why bother then bringing it into the fold at all? And this movie, they have an amazing comedian, Keegan-Michael Key. Love him. This man can essentially do anything, really. He's so phenomenal and funny. Why bring him into this project to play one of the comedy roles of the hyenas if you're barely going to give him any material? I mean, I know you can't, like I said, again, with the Timon and Pumbaa hula dance thing, and I know Jon Favreau wanted to be grounded more in reality, but still, you could have done some of the hyena jokes or created new jokes just for them to do something with it. Just, there was essentially no comedy from these hyenas at all. And with Scar, in this movie, it's shown that he doesn't have a relationship with them until they almost kill Simba and Nala, when he comes to them and says, I send 2 little cubs your way and you can't even kill them. And that's where he decides to propose the idea with them and commit treason against the king. Originally, you felt that these people had a relationship. He had been manipulating them, and just this relationship had been built. There's familiarity between all these hyenas and Scar, but kind of a missed opportunity in this new movie. So, yeah, here's the thing about Disney. We so want that feeling of nostalgia that we keep going to see these live-action reboots and or remakes, that we keep doing it, and even though they're not as good as the originals, we just think, oh, it's familiar, oh, it reminds us of our childhood, of a movie that we loved, and so we keep going to see them, and for the most part, they haven't been very good. Like the upcoming Mulan, of course, I can't judge a movie before I see it, but, excuse me, I'm very sad we're not going to have any songs from that movie. I understand it's a movie about war, but the music in the original Mulan helped balance out that serious, heavy, war is heavy and serious, and that music helped balance it, brought more lightness and humor, and also helped show, in a sense, the serious nature of it too. So, and taking out Mushu as well, it's just, he was such a fun character. Just to not have Mushu or the music or Shang and this new version coming out, I don't know if it's gonna be good. And I was fine with Beauty and the Beast actually, and Beauty and the Beast was brave enough to do changes, and I respected that, and I did like it. Of course, it's nothing to the original, but I did like that film. But honestly, Lion King, it's just, there's not really, it's, at the end of the day, it's just another remake. And I enjoyed Aladdin. They made changes on that one too. It was good. It was interesting. It was different enough to be its own thing. But these other ones, Dumbo, I haven't seen yet, but Dumbo got a very bad rating. Lion King hasn't been doing very well either with critics, and I don't know where Disney's going with all these constant new live action reboots and remakes. Just what's to come. So, and from what I've been able to tell, I think a lot of people are feeling the same thing about this Lion King film, are having a lot of the same complaints. So I guess I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. So just something to think about. Like I said, I really needed to get this out. So, okay. So, hey, I can always watch the original Lion King, right? I can always watch the original Beauty and the Beast. But Disney, just stop taking out our other scripts and just making actors reread them over and over. Like, and if you're gonna do that, just care about it. Just have them be passionate about these lines, for goodness sake. So, yeah, I mean, look at this guy. Look at this smile, this cockiness. Our Simba in this new, the new Simba is not our Simba. The Simba in this new 2019 remake, just, he didn't have this cockiness and this fun young child innocence and arrogance, to a sense. Just, and not to mention, the characters in the original were animated to look like their voice actors. I mean, you could see bits of Jeremy Irons and Scar. You could see bits of, like, James Earl Jones to an extent in Mufasa. Just the smile, kind of the bigness, and Matthew Broderick to an extent too. I don't exactly know how, but just the drawing of Simba does kind of feel like Matthew Broderick to an extent when he was that age and that youth. So yeah, that's how I feel. Lion King 2019, just average. All right. Thanks for dealing with tolerating this video. All right, so yeah, this movie is kind of like Avengers Endgame. Just the more longer it's out, the more I think about the flaws and changes that could have been done to it. I was not a huge Endgame fan. I think that was kind of stated, and it was stated in my Endgame movie review, but there's just so many things that could have been fixed in Endgame. So anyway, just separate video. Anyway, thank you. All right, bye.